Welcome to Buckmasters Basics. We've got our buddy Cody Griffin here from Easton Arrows with us. Today's question that we're going to be walking through is what are the advantages and disadvantages of different size arrow shafts? And Cody, I think what we actually have, I think we've got all of them laid out here, is most of the most common shafts this day and time are going to start out down at a 4mm and work their way all the way up to a 6.5mm shaft. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of a smaller diameter shaft versus a larger diameter shaft?
No, great question, man. We get it all the time. Smaller diameter, of course, the surface area being smaller, it's going to perform better in the wind. In windy situations, this arrow might be the arrow to go to. It's also going to penetrate better. So if you're hunting bigger game, anything out west, different continents like Africa or anywhere in these exotic animals, 4mm might be the way to go for you. One of the things that people might find or might struggle with is fletching them, because there is a little bit less surface area. There's a little bit less, fletching you got to put on there. You got to be, your fletching tolerances have to be a little bit tighter, I believe, for a 4mm option. As well as lighted nocks. There's not a lot of lighted nock options on the market for a 4mm arrow. One of the other advantages, I would say, though, is you can actually put a little bit more front weight to this arrow. So if you're someone that's chasing a little bit more front of center or FOC, someone that wants a little bit better penetrating setup, there are a lot more options on the market for heavier options or heavier half outs and such for the 4mm size.
Okay, perfect. So now let's, instead of going in the middle right here, let's jump all the way to the other end. So we've talked about the smaller diameter shaft and the 4mm. So let's go all the way out here to the 6.5. What are the advantages and disadvantages of a large diameter shaft?
Larger diameter shafts, for one thing, lighted nock options, we'll start with the back end and work to the front. Yeah, sure. Lighted nock options are more readily available. Many more companies have a 6.5 diameter lighted nock that's easier to install. They're going to be more forgiving in that regard.
More room to work with.
More room to work with, exactly. And then moving to the vanes, being that this is it's got a little bit more carbon, a little bit more surface area on there. A lot of people, they don't struggle to fletch arrows as much as they would, with a 4mm. The shaft itself is not going to perform as well in the wind as a 4mm arrow would. So for this being a whitetail arrow, if you're shooting 40 yards and in, not super windy conditions or anything like that, this is a great arrow. It's going to get the job done. And there are some manufacturers that are actually making a little bit better insert system for these arrows now. So you can get a little bit more front of center, not to the extreme you could on a 4mm diameter arrow, but those all play a role in selecting what arrow you want to run. And the other nice thing I like about it is being that there's no half outs here, some people, they're easier to pull out of targets.
Especially
bag targets, these are a lot smoother transition. The broadhead lines up really nice with the ferrule and the insert itself.
So we've covered the small end with a 4mm, then we jumped all the way to the other end of the spectrum with a 6.5. So let's talk about the arrows right here in the center. So I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that the best median is going to be right here in the middle for an all-around arrow, and maybe even on the price point and how it affects the wallet itself and what you can get for your dollar.
Yeah, indeed, man. The 5mm arrow, I call this the 30-30 of the arrow world. Man, it can get it done on any continent. You can chase any FOC you want to. There are multiple, insert systems. There's hidden insert systems that, Easton we make. There's half outs, that are other manufacturers make for arrows. There's collars that you can put on here. These, they're kind of the best of both worlds when it comes to fletching. You have a little bit less surface area for wind drift. This arrow still penetrates great. Most of them come in really good weights, that are favorable for archers. And you can still run lighted nocks. They're more readily available than they would be on the 4mm side. But the 5mm, that's personally what I shoot. I love it. It's one arrow I can trust to take out a whitetail to go chase a moose if I want to. Multiple options for that arrow.
Okay, and it's probably a little bit easier on the pocketbook as well.
I believe so. Yeah. The manufacturing intricacies that are involved in a 4mm arrow are a little bit more expensive, than a 5mm or even a 6.5. So a lot of people gravitate to that 5mm shaft for an all-purpose arrow.
So I think what we've established, it has a lot to do with the terrain and the animals that you're going to be hunting as far as what specific diameter of a shaft that you want to be shooting. Okay, guys, I hope we've been able to answer some questions for you as far as what different diameter shafts there are out there on the market today and what the disadvantages of each one of those are, and also help you select the right diameter arrow shaft for you depending on the game and the terrain that you're actually going to be hunting. Hope that helps, and thank you for tuning in to Buckmasters Basics, and look forward to having you tune in again and hopefully we'll help you along the way as we learn things through the process.